So, speaking of anti-Semitism in Hollywood, after my last video about Harry Shearer maybe being treated unfairly because he's Jewish instead of black, I was thinking about something from the past that I had noticed that it didn't seem like a lot of people noticed. Canceling people in Hollywood. When they started canceling people during the Me Too movement, when that was really ramped up, I had noticed that it seemed like they were targeting Jewish people or people who were kind of Jewish. I'm saying a lot of these people maybe aren't practicing Jews anymore, but they were born Jewish, or one parent is Jewish, whether it's their mother or not, making them not officially Jewish. Yeah, I noticed that a lot of the people who had been canceled in Hollywood with the excuse of Me Too were Jewish. But let's face it, my whole thing with one of my main things with canceling people during the Me Too movement was that you're being choosy, because if you canceled everybody who was a pervert in Hollywood, then you would just cancel Hollywood, because there's no way that it's only this person over here or that person over there or one person with their unwanted hugs. It has to be everybody. That's the way things were done. There were casting couches. It's always been that way, And, just as a fan, especially a fan of some of the people who got canceled, after a while I started going, wait a minute, aren't they all Jewish now? Whether you think these people did something wrong or not is not what I'm saying. I'm saying in Hollywood there have to be, perverts everywhere. So I'm talking about the people who were targeted for cancellation. I'm not saying all the people who did something wrong, because I'm sure they're still crawling around everywhere. But I'm talking about the people who were called out, hashtagged, instantly fired. I'm going to say some names of people I think are Jewish. I'm going to go and look it up and put any kind of annotations I can find if they are Jewish into this video. If I'm wrong, I will write that on the video. So, obviously Harvey Weinstein is Jewish. There's no way around that. And I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong, but I'm saying when this story broke, I was like, and they were talking about the things he did, in my mind, and you could call me a horrible person, but in my mind I was like, I thought that's how all studio heads were, and I'm not saying that I know anything, because I was not in Hollywood, but the things he was accused of outside of the actual rapes, and hey, it's Hollywood, who knows, but I felt as though that's how I thought Hollywood studio executives have acted since the dawn of time, since, we switched over to talkies. So I'm not saying you should overlook it. I'm not saying anybody shouldn't get in trouble. I'm not saying people shouldn't be prosecuted for the things they do. I'm just saying, when you start pointing to somebody acting like they're a monster compared to everyone else, then I'm like, are you sure? Because I tend to think they were all that way. So who's next? Okay, Kevin Spacey might be Jewish. I'm not sure. But like I said, at the time, he was probably the most powerful gay man in Hollywood, in terms of actors. Maybe he wasn't out, but everybody knew he was gay, and he was taken down. But also, I think he might be Jewish. I'm not 100% sure. Louis C.K., I'm pretty sure, is Jewish. James Franco is Jewish. Who else? I'm just gonna draw a blank now, right? Bryan Singer. Like I'm saying, I'm not saying any of these people are daisies. I'm not saying these people were skipping through the forest with their picnic basket and, they were falsely accused, whether they did right or wrong. I'm just saying the people who were targeted for cancellation and people tried to wipe them out after knowing their behaviors and knowing how they were for decades, suddenly just targeting these people. It was really interesting. That after I started thinking about it, I was like, I think he's Jewish and he's Jewish, and and the reason I'm bringing that up is because, like I said, this Harry Shearer thing, but also we just had Gina Carano get canceled because her words were twisted to be anti-Semitic. And we keep seeing that with the cancel mob, where they're actually committing the racist type things, but they turn around and they try to cancel someone else, like the people who try to cancel J.K. Rowling when, she's another strong woman, but she didn't say the right things, so they turn her into a supposed transphobe. And that, if you really look at it, what that mostly is trans women, meaning people who are born as men, trying to bully a woman out of her career. So when you look at these things, you're like, okay, you're accusing that person of being a racist or a bigot of some kind, but aren't you actually persecuting someone who themselves is in a minority, like I'm saying? So in this case, with the Me Too movement, when they were fully ramped up canceling everybody, and I was noticing that they are people who I thought to be Jewish, I said, wait a minute, they're not gonna cancel, any regular old plain old white Protestants, or I don't know, a Catholic, or somebody else, any kind of other race, or anybody from some other religion. They're not going to go after one of those. They're going to just keep finding Jews. Because when they want to cancel somebody else, they use anti-Semitism as their excuse. But meanwhile, it seemed to me that the choices that were being made and who to cancel and who to go after knowing their behaviors and their attitudes and their maybe questionable behavior, or maybe even crimes, why it seemed inordinately they were attacking Jewish people was not something that was apparent to me. So I'll see if I think of anybody else. But like I said, the ones I knew off the top of my head, those guys were Jewish. So we'll see if I think of anyone else. Yeah, I'll add it on with some cards, or I'll just come back and do a second part 2.